Well, I'm coming to you from the Boma Hotel here in South Sea, where the Good Deeds Day conference is currently happening. And this year's theme is leveraging corporate volunteering, or rather, doing a world of good, leveraging corporate volunteering, youth engagement, and partnership for Africa's social economic growth. And basically, it's just matters on volunteering. And right now, I'll be bringing into the conversation Mr. Mark Rachonyo and Frederick Salia, who will be trying and giving us insights on what is basically happening. Maybe you can step into and Mark can come as well. So we'll start by volunteering. The whole idea of volunteering at first. What am I supposed to get from it as a basic, as a normal mwananchi?
Thank you very much. First of all, we are happy to be here for this second Africa Regional Conference. I think you may want to allow me first to define volunteerism and to indicate to our viewers that Kenya as a country and the host of this conference has got a definition of volunteerism, which we design as, if I may paraphrase it, is the giving of one's or a community or a group of people's time to support or offer free services and techno to a particular community for the enhancement of that particular community without the expectation of any financial gain other than a bit of the reimbursement that can be given to the volunteer to facilitate the work that they're doing.
You mentioned without financial gain, which is a topic by itself we can go deeper into. But let me bring Mark into the topic. Mark, you work for the Mount Kenya University, and you have also worked in other universities. Maybe are we encouraging, do universities in Kenya encourage such kind of volunteering work to be done, or where are we lagging behind in it?
Thank you so much, and I'm glad to be here. One thing that we want to ensure is that all the institutions should try as much as possible to look at community engagement, because they operate within the community. Now, every institution, like for example, universities have a big number of students that need to at least change the community where they come from. So we are looking at community service at the university level for university students. We're looking at the faculty members or professionals also coming up to help or to do something that will change the communities where they come from. Now, people would always ask, why is it that people are not being paid for this? One thing is that in your life, you should try to do something that will impact or change somebody's life without expecting any kind of payment or reimbursement. And in this case, you can do it in education. You can pick a few guys, a few young people, mentor them, train them, and let them also go to the community and change. You can also work as a professional in the health sector. Probably in a month or in a year, you should do something that will change the lifestyle of people. For example, if you're a dentist, is there something that you can do? Yes, there is. There are a lot of things that you can do. You can visit communities that have dental problems, and you just advise them. If it is something that you cannot really do by yourself, now you advise them to go. So in my view, having been the dean of student and knowing the challenges that the community go through, it is important that the government or the regulator of the universities try to instill in the mindset of administrators that community service should be there. And it is a voluntary process that will be able to change these people. When they grow up, they will just look for something to do. And that will actually change what we do in our society as a country.
Mark, for many countries, we see like the abroad countries, we see like universities come when there's something that has happened, like a disaster has stricken somewhere. University come, students come and support. Why is it that in Kenya we have things that happen, yet no one from the university can stand up and maybe help in one way or another?
Now, the challenge has been the mentality and the attitude. And we expect the government to do everything, which is not right. Now, we have, if, for example, you go to Nairobi University, how many students do you have? Over 60,000. If you go to Kenyatta National Hospital, you may miss blood. And there are people who are healthy, they are strong, they can donate 1 pint of blood and help have it stored. So in case there's an emergency, the need, it can be collected. The challenge is very simple. Who is coordinating these activities and who is supposed to give the whistle when there's a need? And we always act when there's an emergency, but it should be in your heart. I remember when I was in high school, we were told that within 3 months you must donate blood at least once, right? And that was a good thing. But since things get politicized and the people who come in with different ideas do not want to follow that, it brings in a challenge. So we need a strong person who will coordinate these activities in all areas, like, for example, what Red Cross is doing. But it should not only be at times of emergencies. We need to focus and look at any other time and what you can do. Any person has something that they can do which will impact on somebody's life.
Well, any person has something that they can do, but before you give us your point, you can give us your point, and let's get to the financial aspect of it, because most youth in this country are not that financially able. So when you tell someone to volunteer, they look at you with that face. Like, why are you telling me to do this and you're not giving me any help by the end of it? How are you, what rather are you doing to make sure that the volunteer is getting something by the end of it?
True. First of all, just to add on to what my friend Mark is saying, I want to indicate that there's been a lot of positive response these days, and the young people, the old people alike are coming up, seldom slowly, but they're coming up to be able to support, not only in terms of need, which is always the norm, but even on self-propulsion, that people are still willing to go out there and reach out to situations which are needy. I will tell you for a fact, because I work with young people in virtually all the universities in Kenya. We have a huge platform. We call ourselves the GDD VIO Volunteer Champions. They are guys who take initiative on their own. They don't wait to be called, and they go out there into the community and do an array of activities supporting or intended to uplift the communities. But back to financing and volunteerism, as it were. I want to state here that volunteerism is not a preserve for the young people. Volunteerism is for every one of us, every citizen, including the presidents, the prime minister, and all the ministers or cabinet secretaries you may have across the nations of Africa. So the notion has always been that it is something for the young who maybe just graduated or wound up high school, who do not have anything to do. That is a fallacy. The truth of the matter, or the fact of the matter, is that volunteerism is just being a responsible citizen. Someone who is responsive, someone who is concerned about making a positive impact. Someone wants to see change. And as I've always been told, that the change I want to see has to begin with me. And so when we look into the financing, we can come as a team of old or retirees who are of diverse skills. Then we say, I am a doctor, retired, yes. You are a lawyer, retired, yes. You are a teacher, retired. Let's go back to our communities, like what friend Mark Challenge is asking, who is ever attempted to go back to the schools where they learned and tried even to influence change from that level. So it is never about the money. Of course, we appreciate the fact that we need the monies to do it, because even now, as we are globally looking at reimagining volunteerism, financing is very critical, how we will be able to support, including when we narrow down to the young people now, fresh graduates, or those who have just wound up their high school, they need to be facilitated. And this is why we say, when we are responsive as a people, then we need facilitation. So someone would come and say, or a company would come and say, or an organization can set up a budget aside to say, for those who are willing to do this kind of a particular activity, for example, in mitigating climate change or something like this, we can support by this. And that is there. I can tell you there is always someone who is willing, or a company who is willing to commit resources for the people who are able to take initiative on their own and go out there. And so we want to demystify the fact that volunteerism is just for the jobless, or for people who are able and having the finances, the philanthropists. No, volunteerism is for each and every one of us. And I would take you straight to the National Volunteerism for Kenya, for example, that it states and outlines the categories of volunteers. Who are the volunteers? The retirees, the older persons, the students, the professionals. Each and every one of us has a role to play. It is about, do I want to change my nation? Do I want to change the continent of Africa? Then rise up, do something. There will always be someone willing to support.
Among the thing when you look at the theme, there's that aspect of the social economic growth.
Yes.
We have in Kenya the Vision 2030. We have the SDGs that we are trying to make sure that by the time it gets here, by the time that to 2030 gets here, we'll have covered some of these things that are happening. What role is volunteering playing in it?
I will tell you that a UN resolution has acknowledged volunteerism as a cross-cutting means of implementation across all sectors, and states, corporates, the civil society, development agencies, each one of us are encouraged to partner to ensure that we can work towards a common goal, looking at the global development goals, Agenda 2030, but also narrowing down to our own development strategies at national level, and also looking at, even for Africa, the Agenda 2063 for African continent. And the reason for why is that you look today, and the resource that is renewable is human resource. Africa has the largest of it. We are looking at 2050 when Africa will have a population of 180 million young people. What will they be able to do? So we are thinking that if this is a renewable resource, then we can have it for the longer. Money come and go. But the people who are willing and determined to change the societies within which they live can always be willing to give a little bit of their time, and as well be able to commit the little resources that they have. They can pull it together. They can also seek financing from other avenues to do a common thing as we work towards the Agenda 2030, as we work for Kenya, for example, including the Big Four agenda, which we are keen to the head of state today. It can be driven by a people who are willing to rise up and realize that they have much more than they think they never had. It is possible.
Well, getting back to you, Marquez, as I finalize the interview, he mentioned the little things that you can do. Maybe if you can give us a hint of the little things that you can do to make the difference.
Perfect.
Maybe going back to school, primary school.
Actually, from when you leave your house, when you wake up in the morning, there's something that you can do. Even as a young man, you don't need to have a lot of money. You can even just clean the area. In front of your gate, you can clean the roads. You can organize with your classmates, former classmates, and the neighbors, the young guys, when you're playing football. Just do something that really needs to be done within where you come from. So those are the small things. And lift a hand of your brother wherever you can. It's not always about money. Just always even just appreciate if somebody has done something good. Just appreciate and say, you did it. Perfect, and thank you. So I think that is it. And also probably currently we have a challenge of mental health in young people. There's a lot of issues regarding gambling and you see drugs and substance abuse. So what can you do? As a person, you just lift your brother and tell them that, oh, this thing will kill you, or it will destroy your life. Just change. Because these are your age mates, the people that you're very friendly to. Just do something and say that I did this at the end of the day, because it will change somebody's life. So you don't really have to put it in terms of money, put it in terms of the time, but what you can do, you can do. Even just helping a blind person cross the road, that is also something that you can do. And it's part of the good deeds that we expect you to do. Thank you.
Maybe just to wind up on going back to the conference. The reason for why we decided that the theme for this year would be about doing a world of good, leveraging on corporate volunteering, youth engagement, and partnerships for Africa's socio-economic growth, because we realized that we all need each other, and that the idea and the concept of Good Deeds Day is spreading its tentacles across the region, across the continent, and also seizing the world. So how then can we start? We are looking into the future. So again, critical to us is how will we be financing the future of promoting volunteerism? The Good Deeds Day idea is so simple, like again, using the simple example that has been given by my brother, that helping a blind friend to cross the road. It is a little act of kindness. But how then, for the longest, can we be able to do this? So this is why we want to start a discussion which is more practical, more real, of bringing all of us across sectors to come in. The corporate sector is critical because financing volunteering in the future will always be there. There is always what they say, the people, the purpose, and the profit. The profit always for corporate companies is the bottom line. But there's a way you can have a purpose of changing a community, of changing the lives of a people. And then, as you could have listened to the presentations that were there by Discovery South Africa, the profits come in. So this is where we are looking. And we are also cognizant of the fact that the young people of Africa is the biggest resource we ever had. And we are looking forward also to ensure that partnerships would bring so much on accountability. Will also bring so much on transparency, because you bring so many of us, you don't have a room to do monkey business. You have to do things the right way. And so we believe that with a little, we can do so much. And again, for Africa, we've never lacked. We have it. It is just in our mind that we don't have. What we have is the brilliant young people, very well educated today as we speak, very much innovative, creative in all manner of which you want to design it. A lot of technological ideas have come from this continent, and this is where we are also going to look into innovation and technology and the young people and how that could be a very good platform for Africa's socio-economic growth.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we can talk all day about this.
Thank you.
So yes, there you have it, Lucy. Mark and Fred, who are just telling us a brief on the Good Deeds Day happening right here at the Boma Hotel. Back to you in studio.